I've been called transphobic, homophobic, racist, ableist. I've been told to check my white privilege, all in the last 24 to 48 hours, solely because of my opinion on books, talking about books that I love reading, and for refusing to condemn authors that other people have problems with. I wanted to do this video because I've pretty much cleared my stance up on my other social media accounts, and I think it's important that I come on here and do it as well, so that anyone that is following my page that maybe disagrees with my own thoughts and feelings has the opportunity to unsubscribe, or if you want to be part of a community that says the things that I'm about to say to you, it gives you the understanding of me as a person, and I'm not going to shy away from my own thoughts and feelings. At the end of the day, I'm a big believer in free speech. I also believe that we have to be careful with it. I'm not intentionally trying to set out to hurt people's feelings, but we have to understand that in life sometimes we are going to get our feelings hurt, and that's okay. This all started, mainly it's been a build-up, an accumulation of comments from people. So I don't keep it a secret that I absolutely love the Harry Potter franchise. I love the books, I love the films, I love everything about that series. I've got such fond memories growing up. But for one reason or another, whenever I talk about that series on my page, not necessarily on YouTube, but on other platforms, a lot of people will come up and ask me how I can support J.K. Rowling and her beliefs, and people like me are part of the problem, and that basically I should be pretending that J.K. Rowling doesn't exist, solely to stop spreading her message of hate. And I passionately disagree with that. I do separate the art from the artist, and I know a lot of people get offended by that and basically say by separating the art from the artist you are condoning the artist's actions. I disagree, and I'm going to spend the rest of this video trying to explain to you why I disagree. I've been called that many names over the last 48 hours. The fact that I read Harry Potter books and refuse to condemn J.K. Rowling on my page is leading people to automatically assume that I am transphobic. Now, this is where I think people get upset with me, is that I disagree with that wholeheartedly. I love Harry Potter books, grew up with them, they're a massive part of my childhood. My daughter's reading them for the first time. The joy it's bringing to her life is second to none, and I'll never take that away from her just because J.K. Rowling has hurt some people's feelings. That does not mean that I agree with what J.K. Rowling says. I don't know the woman, I don't care about the woman. I'm sure she's got billions of pounds and she's probably sat somewhere now in the Bahamas, not caring about any single one of us. But that doesn't mean that I won't enjoy them books for the rest of my life. And it doesn't mean that I won't tell people that I enjoy them books for the rest of my life. That does not make me a transphobe. To give you an example of the way that my brain works when it comes to book choices, I was raped on 3 occasions growing up by 2 men and a woman, all on separate occasions. I've had loads of messages from people saying to me, Tyrone, you need to avoid Neil Gaiman or Neil Gaiman. I don't know what his name is. I've never read his work. But you need to avoid him because he's a problematic author. I didn't own any of his books previously. They weren't bought on my shelf. I had a couple that people had sent me, but it was only they were there because people had sent me them books. I wasn't then going to go into that book and think, you know what, I'm going to read his work because people have told me not to. I'm not that stupid. Look, if he's a bad bloke, I'm just not going to read his books. However, if I'm already in love with an author's work, or I already have a connection or feel some sort of way about a book that I've read in the past, I'm not going to stop reading that story just because the author's upset some people's feelings. Now, if someone comes into my inbox and says to me, Tyrone, I understand what you've been through in the past, but I just want you to know I really enjoy Neil Gaiman's work. I love what he does. His writing's fantastic. His stories are amazing and they bring me so much happiness. Good for you. I love that for you, genuinely. And I would never want anyone to stop reading an author's work because they have committed a crime that has affected me in the past. Now, if that person came into my inbox and said to me, Tyrone, I've heard about what Neil Gaiman's done. I just want you to know I fully support him and I think he's a cracking bloke. I would probably just assume that you're a bit of a dickhead and I would just disengage from you and I'd never talk to you again for the rest of my life and I'd just move on with it. What I will never do is speak to somebody that's a fan of a bad person and go, you must be a bad person. Yeah. That author thinks X, Y, and Z, so that must mean that you think X, Y, and Z. Now, just to add on top of that, a lot of people will message me and say, I don't mind you reading J.K. Rowling as long as you don't support her by going out and buying brand new books and stuff. You best believe that if I lose one of my books from J.K. Rowling and I can't find the same book again on Vinted or from a charity shop, that I'm going to go to a shop and I'm going to get it for my daughter because that's what she wants to bring her some happiness. If people want to beat me with a moral stick and say, Tyrone, you shouldn't do that because you're supporting the author, then that's absolutely fine, but you've got no right to tell me what I should spend my money on. Just like if somebody comes to me and says, Tyrone, love Neil Gaiman. I don't like him as a person, but I just want you to know I'm going to Waterstones today and I'm buying another book from him. I'd be like, cool, it's your money. Who am I to tell you what you should or shouldn't spend your money on? It's just wild that we live in a world where people will look at the literature that someone consumes and then just make a complete assumption on that person's character because of that. Then it comes to homophobia. A lot of people messaged me and said that I was homophobic as well. And I covered this in one of the videos I did historically. And the hypocrisy is just so real when it comes to this subject. Now, I posted a video recently about my views and why I won't condemn J.K. Rowling. A lot of people have attacked me. As I was looking through the comments and going into my inbox, the same people that attacked me for talking about the fact that I love J.K. Rowling's books absolutely applauded me when I came onto my page and spoke about the fact that I love TJ Klune's books, or the fact that I was promoting Nyla K for the fans last year, which is a male-male romance, which I think I actually told you lot to read on my last video. And it's just complete hypocrisy. I tried my best, or I try my best at least, to build an inclusive environment across all my social media accounts. But what the last 48 hours has taught me is that the people that used to message me and say thank you Tyrone for creating an inclusive environment, for talking about things openly, for talking about mental health, for trying to encourage people to read different books from different genders, yada yada yada, were the same people that jumped ship the second that my post didn't suit their own narrative or thoughts, feelings and views. And for me, that isn't inclusivity. Inclusivity means that anybody can come to my page and can give an opinion on their own thoughts and feelings, and as long as they're not intentionally trying to hurt other people or harm other people, they won't be judged. And I think I probably lost, between my two social media accounts, about 1,000 followers yesterday. And I did a story and I said, look, I am more than happy to lose 60,000 followers on my other social media accounts if it means the remaining 10,000 people that are there are open to critical thinking and aren't going to judge people solely based off of the literature that they choose to consume and promote on their page. How can people say to me that I am transphobic when on one hand I promote J.K. Rowling and on the other hand I am promoting T.J. Klune? It is just absolutely wild to me that people can jump to that conclusion. I am all for the world being a nice, warm, fluffy, embracing place, but unfortunately it's never going to be that way. And when I say to people that we need to toughen up, I truly mean it. It is wild to me that we live in a world where we just believe that everyone is going to have the same thoughts and feelings as us, and we believe that if we come across a person that's got an opposing view to what we have, that they are automatically wrong. The thing with opinions is everyone's opinion is going to be wrong if it's not your own. People talk about empathy, and someone told me that I lack empathy because of the fact that I wouldn't condone J.K. Rowling for my belief that she's entitled to her own thoughts. And I disagree with that, because for me, empathy is understanding other people's thoughts and feelings. And a lot of people that tell me I lack empathy are the people that won't consider that not everybody feels the same way that they feel. I just support the rights of all humans. I think as human beings, we should all be entitled to the same privileges in life. And do you know what? If that makes me a bad person, then so be it. But I'm not going to change my thoughts and feelings just because a few people come online and say that I've hurt their feelings. What kind of world are we living in when people expect not to get their feelings hurt from time to time? As somebody that really struggled with his mental health last year and had suicidal thoughts, I would see video after video after video of people saying that mental health's not real, you need to get out and exercise more, you need to eat a better diet. Sometimes that hurt a little bit, watching them videos, thinking about taking my own life, and someone just playing that down and saying, just need to get a bit of exercising, son. That hurt. But you know what I did? I moved on. I didn't jump into their comments and start telling them that they were a horrible person, because that person that said that video genuinely believes that. And that's all right, they're entitled to that opinion. I don't know what happened to the world when we stopped understanding that people were going to have different opinions. People were going to enjoy different books for different reasons. Now, as an example, I am a person that I don't see myself as academic or intelligent. I don't go into books and look for deeper meanings and political backgrounds like a lot of people will. I read Poppy War last year. Absolutely loved that book. And after I read Poppy War, a lot of people came at me and said, I think you missed the point of Poppy War. It was about so much more than this. It was about X, Y, and Z. I had no idea, but I also don't necessarily read for that reason. I'm not reading a book to try and critique it and understand what R.F. Kuang's message is about oppression in the past in China or Japan, wherever it was. But because of how stupid people tried to make me feel because I'd missed a hidden message in a series. That put me off going into book 2. I've also since then not read Babel, whatever it's called. I've got no interest in reading Catabasis, whatever that's called, coming out end of year, because everyone keeps saying to me, R.F. Kuang's books are about so much more than what you think they're about. It's like, right, well, cool. Obviously, I'm going to keep missing these hidden messages. I don't read for the same reasons that you read, so I'll just ignore that author now. And I think it doesn't do anyone a service. For me, The Poppy War was a really dark story about what it's like to be in a war. And I personally thought when I got to the end of that story that that was enough for me to take out of. I still respected that the author had written a fantastic book. I didn't need to get it rammed down my throat that I'd missed out on loads of points that the author were trying to make, because some people don't read for that reason. A lot of people will just pick up a book and solely read that book for the story and the words on the paper. And that's absolutely fine. I think we should encourage people to read books and not assume that every single person on planet Earth is picking up a book and reading it for political reasons. Yes, books are political, I completely get that, but people aren't necessarily reading books to try and find someone's political stance. Do you think when I pick up The Curator by M.W. Craven that I'm even remotely interested in where this man stands politically? No interested at all. I want to read this book and find out who done it. That is the only reason I'm reading that book. I'm trying to catch a killer with Washington Poe. I think people should be encouraged to do that. For the small minority of people that do want to read books and annotate and find deeper meanings and look into the history of the world and how that is interpreted in the book, that's amazing for you. Not everyone's got an English lit degree. Not everyone can understand that authors are trying to get deeper meanings across. And it's exactly the same for people that read books written by problematic authors. I am not going into Harry Potter and promoting Harry Potter on my page because I want J.K. Rowling to make her billions. If I ever feel the need to go out and buy a brand new Harry Potter book because my daughter wants it, I'm not doing it because I support her. I'm doing it because my daughter's asked for a book and I just want to make my kid happy. And if you're trying to tell me that that's selfish, then I'm selfish. That is what it is. I'm not going to force my daughter to stop reading a book just because her reading that book and her dad talking about that book upsets some people on the internet. It's my personal opinion that the only way to get rid of racism, ableism, transphobia is for people to have conversation. And I think every single time we shut down a person that is racist and we basically tell them that their thoughts and feelings don't matter, we are just reinforcing that thought into their head that actually I can't have a conversation with a person of another colour because it just goes nowhere. They attack me and they shut me down. Now, this is coming from, as I said, a mixed race man who grew up in a predominantly white town. I get away with it in winter because I'm quite pale skinned, but in the summer, people know that I'm mixed race. Now, you best believe, over the years, I have had conversations with racist people. And I'm not going to say that all of them people today aren't racist. Of course, some of them will be. But there's also people that have had racist ideologies that I've spoke to in the past that are now people that I would class as acquaintances. I'm not going to say friends because I don't really have any mates. But there are people now whose minds have been changed because they've had open, constructive dialogue with a person that they initially hated. And a lot of it is because of social setting. People grow up in a certain household and they're told a certain thing. The family will ram down the throats that you don't talk to these people because they behave this way. You don't talk to that person because they behave that way. And that is just because of media. Media shows people of different colours, different genders, different races in different ways. And a lot of people will buy into that. But the only way to kind of stop that mentality is to have open conversations. And every single time that we try and shut down an author and cancel a person because they have a different view to you, that view is never going to change. We're just reinforcing the mindset that they've already got. If anything, we're probably just accelerating the crazy ideologies that some of these people have. It's just going absolutely wild. Everyone has got an opinion on everything. I mean, this Sophie Lark controversy, I've seen on the internet that Sophie Lark is getting a lot of stick at the minute because of a metaphor she used when she compared fighting cats and dogs to Israel and Palestine. It wasn't sensitive, but it's got people's attention. And I don't think for a second that because she's used an extremely unsensitive metaphor that she is downplaying what's going on over there. I'm also told, again, I've not done research into this because I don't care. I'm not going to read this author's work and I'm not interested in her political stance. But she's also allegedly written a problematic character who I believe is a white racist man who said some racist things about using immigrants for cheap labour. That stuff happens in reality. There are white people out there who are racist that don't work through their problematic views. And that was one of the issues I kept coming across when I saw some of these comments. People saying, yeah, the author's not helped the person work through problematic views. Some racist people don't work through problematic views. With that mindset, what we're saying is no author can put problematic characters into books unless they're going to work through them views, which tells us that everyone on the world is perfect and redeemable, which is just not the case. There are people out there that are dickheads, and they're probably going to die dickheads. And I think by removing them kind of people from books, we're just removing the reality of an actual real person in real life. I cannot imagine how hard it is for authors at the minute to write a book through the fear of who they're going to upset. The thought that there are sensitivity readers out there just blows my mind. I don't understand how an author can't release a book and we as grown-ass adults can't just read that book and go, no, I don't like that content, I'm just going to move on and I'm not going to read that author anymore. By all means, go onto your page and say, look, I really didn't enjoy this author, this is why X, Y and Z, but don't jump into someone else's comments and say you shouldn't read this author because I didn't like them. That is just wild. No matter where you look online, there's going to be a controversy somewhere. People, after this had happened and people started moaning at me because I was reading Harry Potter, other people that were supporting me that didn't feel comfortable enough to put it on my comments would inbox me and talk to me about different controversies. There's a controversy because Brandon Sanderson refused to cancel a trip to Israel in 2019, so people are automatically assuming that he's pro-Israel. There's another controversy that Sarah J. Maasey is pro-Israel. Does that mean that the people who read her books are encouraging and supporting the bombing of innocent children and families in Palestine? In my opinion, no, it doesn't. And I just don't understand how we've got to a point in time where people are judged on the literature that they read. And I just felt like I needed to do this video because in no way, shape or form do I support the removal of anyone's rights. I think as human beings, we should all have the same rights, no matter where you live, no matter what gender you are, no matter what race you are. I think everyone is entitled to the same rights. As a mixed race, overweight, bald-headed, rape-surviving man, I just think we need to toughen up a little bit and stop getting so wrapped up in our own emotions and trying to ram our own views down other people's throats and just enjoy these books for what they are. The people that have followed me for long enough know that I'm a good human being, and it just angers me when people try and paint me with a certain type of brush when they've got no idea who I am at all. They're literally looking at the books I read and the fact that I refuse to condemn authors that they don't like, and they assume that I am a certain type of person. I just don't know where it stops. You know, everyone keeps going on about moral high ground and being a better person and having a choice to read other authors. I don't want to read other authors. I want to read Harry Potter. It makes me happy. I'm currently on a re-listen and I'm on Prisoner of Azkaban and I love it. But it doesn't mean I love J.K. Rowling. Don't even know the woman. We're not mates. I will read whatever books I want to read. If people come to my social media accounts and they're not happy with the content I'm putting out, they don't have to follow. They can unfollow. But what I won't accept is when I get people sharing my videos and saying stupid things like, if this isn't white privilege, I don't know what is. I've never unfollowed a man as quickly in my life. And threats in my inbox and other people messaging me saying, I've sent all your videos to my friends and told them to make sure they unfollow you because I think you're disgusting. I just think people need to grow up, toughen up, stop getting upset by things that have got nothing to do with them and just allow people to read the literature that they want to read without being judged. The amount of messages I had from people that said, thank you for doing your video, I'm so scared to talk about Harry Potter on my page and it's my favourite series ever. It's just wild. People should not be scared to come online and just say, I love this book. Of course, people shouldn't come online and say I'm transphobic and I'm a dickhead, but they should be able to come online and say that they just enjoyed a book without the fear of people jumping on them and trying to paint them as a bad person. You know, I just don't understand where it stops. The clothes we wear, the phones we use, pretty much every single item that we've got in our house has come from an oppressive regime in one way or another. How do you think the batteries on our phones are made? The clothes that we get from Primark, you know, these are from sweatshops in horrible conditions in middle of Bangladesh. Does that make me a bad person? You know, the programs we watch on TV and the films we watch with these horrible paedophile TV producers, the music we listen to, pretty much at the top of every single thing we consume in life, there's probably a shitty person there. But I needed to do this video because I don't want people coming to my page and then further down the line coming across a bit of content and thinking, actually, yeah, our views don't align. I don't want people on this page that are going to follow me just because we have the same political beliefs or because we have the same views on certain movements. I want people to subscribe to my page because they love books and they just want to listen to a bloke talk about books that he loves and share a passion of books. And I don't need it to be any deeper than that. I'm actually gutted that I had to do this video, but I felt the need to do it because, yeah, it was playing on my mind and I wanted to get it off my chest. So yeah, that's me. I'm not homophobic. I'm not transphobic. I believe that love is love and we should all be kind to each other. And I'm also not going to silence other people's voices just because I disagree with their thoughts and feelings. I'm not going to try and fit in with the crowd just to go viral online and gain loads of followers. I'm not going to put a pride flag on my page when I'm not going out and campaigning in the streets. I'm not going to put a Palestinian flag on my page, but that doesn't mean that I condone the innocent bombings of children. It breaks my heart that things like this are happening in real life. I won't. I'm not using my page as a political stance. I'm using it as a form of creative outlet to help with my own mental health and just to come online and talk about books. If you want to go out there and find creators that are bigger than me, that are using the platform for what you call the greater good, they're out there somewhere. Go and find them. But you're not going to get that here. I do what I can in my own household. We give to charity. We treat people well. If we see a homeless person, we look after them. I don't judge anyone in the streets based on the colour of the skin or the gender or, whatever. But my page is just a book page, and all I want to do is come online and just talk about books. The last thing I'm going to ask you is, if you have watched this video up until this point, please do not subscribe to this channel if you're expecting this kind of content going forward. You will not get it. I am not normally a drama llama, but I felt like I needed to do this because of the attacks that I was getting online. Please only subscribe to this page if you just want to listen to me talking about books that I love, giving you recommendations, because that's the kind of content you're going to get. I don't want this video to blow up and to bring thousands of people to my page that are going to expect me talking about controversial topics going forward, because it's not happening. If I get any negativity in the comments, you're not getting replied to. If people want adult conversation and discourse, then I'm more than happy for you to jump across on my Instagram, ping me a message, and we will have an adult conversation. But I'm not going to get into an argument with people through comments.